Do you see Jesus as someone who keeps a distance from you when temptations come and says, okay, you own self settle? Do you see Jesus as someone who keeps a distance from you when you are in pain and suffering and says, gosh, I don't want to get into that mess? Friends, would you allow Scripture to change your mind about Jesus and change your heart towards Him? Go back and look at chapter 4, verse 15. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. In other words, friends, if you want to know the heart of Christ towards sinners and sufferers like you and me, if you want to know Jesus's, you want to know how Jesus feels in His gut, in His affection towards us, in our pain, our failures, in our darkness, this is a great verse to memorize and to meditate upon. Well, the author proves his point in this verse by reminding us of Jesus' life on earth. In the days of His flesh, Jesus offered up prayers and supplications with loud cries and tears to Him who was able to save Him from death. We think to Luke 19, when Jesus wept over the city of Jerusalem because of their rejection and unbelief. Friends, have you wept for unsaved loved ones? Jesus knows how that feels. We think to John 11, when Jesus wept as He witnessed the grief of those He loved and as He saw His close friend lie dead in the tomb. Have you wept at the loss of a loved one? Jesus knows how that feels. We think to the Garden of Gethsemane, when Jesus began to be sorrowful and troubled and prayed earnestly to His Father in agony that if possible the cup be removed from Him, His sweat becoming like great drops of blood falling to the ground. Have you ever felt your insides being torn apart? Your heart wanting to submit and obey God, but your mind and your body pulling you in the complete opposite direction? Jesus knows what it feels like. We think right after that, when Jesus finds His disciples sleeping instead of praying, even after He has told them that His soul was very sorrowful. Have you felt lonely in your suffering, deserted when you needed support the most? Jesus knows what that feels like. And we think to when Jesus hung on the cross, mocked and scorned by those He came to save, asking the Father to forgive them for they know not what they do. Have you been falsely accused? Have you been misunderstood? Jesus knows what that feels like. He was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Friend, Jesus stands in solidarity with you in your suffering. He knows exactly what it feels like to be weak and helpless. And He knows what it feels like when the only thing you know to do, the only thing you can do is to drop on your knees and pray.